Hello, this is What's All About, and in this review we're looking at a watch that I've been pretty excited about, and I know many people are very eager to see it as well. The latest release from Dan Henry, in particular the 1964 Gran Turismo. So let's start and unbox it. So it comes in this cool little plastic tube, and if we twist it and release it, we then have a very nice watch roll made of canvas and leather as well. So if I unwrap it and lay it out and open it up. Okay, so what do we have in here? We have our warranty card. We have a bracelet, beads of rice bracelet, and we have the watch itself on a leather strap. So the price of this watch is $250, which equates to around £195. And, you know, immediately the whole package is pretty impressive. I mean, the quality of this leather watch roll is really nice. We have Dan Henry printed down there. Really lovely leather. You can smell it as well. And just it's really well put together. Really impressed by that. The fact that you get a bracelet as well as a leather strap, you know, again, more than I was expecting, to be honest. So that's another bonus. So really, straight away, you are getting a whole lot of stuff for your money. Let's discuss the watch in question then. So the 1964 Gran Turismo, and this is just the straight up silver version with a date. Comes in a number of different options. You can have panda versions, dates, no dates. So there are a handful of options you can go by. Obviously this is the silver with the date. So let me strap it onto my about 7¼ inch wrist. And let's discuss some of the specs. So I've already mentioned the price, $250, around £195. Size-wise, it's obviously vintage inspired, and the size definitely echoes that as well. 38mm diameter, 12.9mm height, and then a lug-to-lug length of 44.7mm. Now I actually think the 38mm is really nice size. You don't see a whole lot of watches that size now. I mean, by modern standards, around the 40mm mark is the sweet spot. So by modern standards, it's not particularly huge. However, we know that all of Dan Henry watches are heavily vintage inspired because that's his bag, vintage inspired timepieces. And I really like the size. I think it fits so nicely, fits snug on the wrist, really comfortable to wear, and you know it's all dial as well. In particular, this one, because the steel, the polished steel bezel fits in nicely with the dial itself. You know, it looks basically like its entire dial, and you know, it really creates quite an impression. Weight-wise, on the leather strap, it's 52 grams as well, so it is really light. And again, like I said, because of this weight, so comfortable and easy to wear. Water resistance is 5 atmospheres or 50 meters, so you probably don't want to dip it in any water if you can help it. You got a measure of protection there, but certainly don't swim with it on. Lug width is a bit of a weird one, 19mm. Obviously 20mm would have been slightly preferred because, well, it's a regular size. 19mm would be difficult to find second-hand straps. Second party straps that will fit the lug width of 19mm because it is an unusual width. However, the quality of the leather probably negates that need, unless you wanted a different colour, of course. But saying that, they've obviously decided that 19mm fits the size of the case just right, and I'd be tempted to agree. It is vintage inspired, let's not forget, so 20mm might well have looked a little bit too fat. It certainly is a slender strap by today's standards. That 1mm makes a fair bit of difference, actually. You get a 1-year warranty with this watch as well, so that's international in case anything should go wrong. The movement then, a Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz. So that is the best of both worlds, many believe. You have a battery in it, so your actual timekeeping is, you don't have a wind or a charge to keep on top of every couple of days, so you've got a couple of years battery life on it. It does tick. The running seconds hand at 6 does tick. Many people might think that that's a bit of a negative. However, the chronograph movement itself is all mechanized. So if I start the chronograph, we have it's a 5 ticks per second chronograph. The Seiko VK63 runs at 5 ticks a second, and it has a really nice snapback as well, and decent feedback on the pushes as well. So if I just reset it, have a real smart snapback there. So really good movement. Loads of people really enjoy using it, and I don't feel any different either. Okay, so let's discuss the watch in further detail piece by piece then. So starting off with the dial, if I just change the time here. Okay. What can I say? I mean, it's so classy, so elegant as well, and the quality of construction is seriously good. At the start of this, breaking it down, going piece by piece, I'm just going to say that I haven't been this impressed by a watch in a very long time. It's that nice. So everything is absolutely flawless. Every single aspect of it is so well constructed. The design is spot on as well. I mean, I'm sure you agree that just looking at this dial works so nicely. It's so simple as well, but so classy and elegant. I mean, it's going to be only suitable in certain circumstances. It's probably not quite so much as a casual wear as, say, for instance, a sport or a diver watch would be. However, in the circumstances that you do wear it, I think it's really tough to beat at this price range. So the dial itself, it has a really nice sunburst effect to the main section of the dial, and then the sub-dials are slightly set in, so it offers a very gentle bit of depth to the dial, and a nice alternative for the light reflection as well. And then the sub-dials have a very gentle concentric circular pattern within them as well. The hands, pretty straightforward, fully polished, so they reflect light nicely. And then the seconds hand and the sub-dial hands are all slightly blued, and they're just straightforward points as well. So nothing too overcomplicated. The loom isn't the best, but then again, on a dress watch, you don't usually expect to have too much loom. So for me, it's not really that big an issue. I know some people tend to be, really hot on the strength of loom, but for me, I can probably leave it on a dress watch. Another really nice part about the dial is the fact that it's domed. So we'll talk about the crystal in a bit, but the crystal itself is really heavily domed and boxed. But then we have a very slight and subtle dome to the dial itself around the outer edge, and you can see the hands also curve on the tips to match that. So when that curve works with the dome of the crystal, it gives a really nice hue to the dial. And this anti-reflective coating as well is just sublime. Works so nicely with the steel base. So the date window, located between 4 and 5, probably could be. I don't know if the border could be any different. I like the way it's very slightly curved on the edges, neatly cut out as well. The only thing really is that the white date wheel, some people might think if only it was silver. You don't tend to notice it too much, and I don't think it's looks ugly or anything like that, but that could be something that some people might have an issue with. And then we have this tachymeter around the outside as well. So everything's so crisp, so clean, so clinical, and yet really elegant and classy on the dial. Really well manufactured as well. Moving on to the case then. So I've already spoke about the crystal. So the crystal is sapphire coated mineral. So you do be careful. Obviously it's a whole lot harder than just mineral because it has that coating on it, which is a good thing. But just do be careful you don't whack it because of the fact that it sits so high, and that's part of its charm, I think, in its character. It's really nice how at an angle it distorts it in such a pleasing way to the eye as well. It just looks really cool. And as I mentioned before, the anti-reflective coating is really impressive on it as well. And I do tend to find that a decent anti-reflective coating really makes a difference between a watch looking good and a watch looking really great and looking top class. So in this instance, I think the anti-reflective coating makes quite a lot of difference on a watch costing $250. So moving on to the case then, fully polished bezel and top of the lugs, like a mirror-like polish. On the sides, we have a brushed region here, side of the lugs in this central channel. And then moving on to the case back, we have this polished base of the case and then polished surround of the case back. And on the case back itself, we have a very nice deep stamped Aston Martin, which is really, really cool. And then we have these details surrounding the outside on a brushed disc. This is sort of a nice little blasted kind of finish to it as well. So yeah, really nice to look at. So they've done a really great job on such a budget watch, really. The pushers are pinion style. So really, as I mentioned before, with the movement, really thick presses, if you know what I mean, really clunky, nice feel to them, good quality. The crown is relatively small, actually, which is a good thing. You know, it's a mecha quartz, so you're not really going to be adjusting the time too much at all. But on the end, we have the DH logo, nice and accurately engraved on the end there, and decent grip for when you do want to use it. Moving on to the leather strap, 19mm is, as I mentioned before, quite an unusual size. We have quick release pins on the leather strap as well, which is good. Very, very supple, nice quality leather as well. I'm not sure if the tan will be to everyone's taste, but for me, I think it suits it quite nicely. Again, very, very vintage inspired, this kind of colour, so I can understand the reasoning behind it. But yeah, really lovely quality leather, really bendy, as you can see, very comfortable to wear. And then we have a pretty standard tang buckle with DH. It's fully polished with DH laser etched on top. Shame it's not engraved. Moving on to the bracelet then. So the grains of rice style isn't really to my cup of tea. However, I can really comprehend and appreciate the quality of it. I do like the unusual clasp as well. So we have Dan Henry engraved on the bottom, and this nice polished button which releases it. So I just get it in focus. When you open it up, maybe that flap could be a little bit nicer. Saying that, no one's ever going to notice or see it. So that works nicely. And then if I just put it in position on the watch, so you can sort of see how it would look with the strap on. That's how it would look. So yeah, not to my taste. However, it's amazing really that you get this in addition to the standard leather strap. And I know for sure many people will be really digging it and into it. So let's get the macro lens on then, and we'll have a look at the watch in much closer detail. So if I just give the crystal a quick wipe, and I'll just adjust the time as well. So here we have our backdrop to our dial. Nice sunburst effect and very crisp print work as well. Let me just start the seconds hand going, the chronograph seconds hand. We have really nice print work on the tachymeter as well. Whilst we're looking at that, we can see this bend on the minute hand, and also quite a significant bend on the chronograph seconds hand as well, to work well with the dome of the crystal and also the dial. Having a look at these sub dials, concentric circular pattern in the center, very neatly done, and sort of like a beveled edge to them. They sit slightly lower, so again working really well with any light reflections. Having a look at our hour markers, fully polished, nice and neat, and a double there at 12 with loomed blocks at the top. And then our hands are polished and flat with a gentle point at the top, at the tip. There we go. And then down here, looking at our date window, really neatly cut out of the dial, and it's a white date wheel. Okay, so if I just move on to the case then, here we have this like extreme dome to the crystal. Trying to get a shot on it is pretty much impossible, but we have this polished bezel, and then brushed sides, so you can see, in a polished top to the lug as well. Flipping it over to the case back, we have our details surrounding the central disc with the Aston Martin within. There it is, as you can see, remarkably detailed really. and we have this a nice bead blasted finish as a backdrop. So switching over to the other side of the case, here we have just give it a very quick wipe. Have the crown with DH nice and deeply engraved on the end there. Decent grip as well, and there's pushers also fully polished. So the leather strap, you can see the sort of cross hatch pattern to it, which I quite like actually. I much prefer this to an alligator stamp, and then sort of matching slightly lighter stitching. Flipping it over, we have our quick release pin, and over on this side we have some print work, Dan Henry. And if I just show you the tang buckle now, there's the DH laser. Oh, it is engraved, very, very lightly engraved, so that, perhaps that could have been a little bit deeper. So moving on to the bracelet, you can have a look at these beads of rice, nice and close up, highly polished, and then brushed end links, polished ends as well, and then the underside fully brushed, so it's a nice soft comfortable wear. And then having a look at the buckle, there's the Dan Henry logo nice and deeply engraved on the bottom, and here's our polished button. So if I push that in, release it up, and here's the inner elbow joint, if you will. Okay. So, as I mentioned previously, I haven't been this impressed for a very, very long time. For the price, you are getting such an incredible deal. I mean, the aesthetics of the watch is really, really smart. It's so gorgeous, especially to the naked eye. Obviously, cameras only do a certain amount. When you've actually got it in front of you, it looks such high quality. It looks so class as well. And the fact that it's only $250 or £195 is absolutely staggering and astounding. The fact that you get the watch obviously is great, but you get an extra bracelet as well. You get the leather case, you get the cool outer case as well. I'm flabbergasted. I don't know how he's managed to do it. Negatives, I'm trying to think of negatives. Some people will have issue with the date wheel being white. However, you have the option to have no date. That obviously negates that. Sapphire coated mineral. Yeah, it's not ideal that it's not fully sapphire, but when you consider the price and the fact that it is still sapphire coated, you can overlook that. Really, I'm seriously struggling to think of any negatives whatsoever. It's that nice. I think just when you're wearing it, I've had so many comments on it. People just look at it and they're like, wow, that looks impressive. And, when you tell people the price, it's like, it's pretty mind-blowing, really. And I think one of the key reasons behind it is not only the design, but also the fantastic crystal and the dome as well. The dome to the crystal, the dome to the dial, and just the simplicity of it all as well. So really, really fantastic job here by Dan Henry. And I would, without a shadow of a doubt, recommend you get one. They're selling out extremely fast, and I'm not surprised why. So if you do manage to order one, or you're eyeing one up, I would completely recommend one. Just go for it. The size wise, it might put some people off. Yes, 38mm is, by modern standards, very small. Let's not forget, this is a vintage inspired watch. So really, credit to Dan Henry for having for still sticking to the guns of vintage sizing. 38mm diameter, the 19mm strap as well. So credit where credit's due. He's really stuck to his guns, and he has produced something absolutely fantastic. So this was the Dan Henry 1964 Gran Turismo. That's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, please, and subscribe to my channel as well. Thank you for watching.